Hello everybody and welcome to the 4th episode of Wool in the Wardrobe. My name is Kelsey Stevens and I'm coming to you from York, Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, and where I dye yarn as an indie dyer for Primrose Yarn Company, which I own. Wow, it's been a really long time since I've podcasted. I'm a little out of practice. I'm actually flying without a kite tonight. I don't have any show notes, but I was asked when I was going to podcast next. So this is kind of on a whim podcast, and I'm hoping that everybody will be willing to bear with me. I'm sorry if I get a little disoriented at times, but I'm going to be looking at questions that you guys have on Ravelry, questions that you guys have on Instagram, and I'm going to be talking a lot about my trip to Tennessee for Stitches South and what's up with Primrose Yarn Company right now. So let's get started with whips, because I only have one finished object, which obviously I'm wearing, but I'm going to talk about that after I talk about my whip. My whip right now is actually a Tin Can Knits pattern. It's the Gramps cardigan, and I've knit this. This is the third time I've knit this. I've knit one for my husband and one for myself, and this is the one for me. And this is in my Chambord colorway, and I hope to have this colorway out in the next month, but I'm tweaking it a little bit. It's still going to be that beautiful burgundy purple colorway, but the dye that I used discontinued a color that I had used to dye that about 3 or 4 months ago. So I have to find another way to create the color, and I'm kind of playing with it right now. But it should be out within the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. But that's my only whip. Sorry guys, I don't have a lot to show you on the knitting end of everything. I do have this beautiful, which I haven't trimmed the ends, as you might be able to see if I open it up yet. Right there, there's one of them. But this beautiful cardigan, and I'll try to give you a spin around real quick. So there's the back. That beautiful cardigan is the Citadel by Joji Locatelli, and I'm in love with it. I love it so much. She did a fantastic job designing this pattern. I can't say enough about her designs and her. She's just a great all-around designer. She does simple stuff. She does cables. She does lace. I mean, she does something for everybody, and she's a fantastic designer. I did a knit along for this one, which is still going on. I think it goes till the end of May now. I did extend the deadline because a lot of people were having problems finishing in time. We did have one finished entry that I know of. But I finally finished mine, and it's beautiful. I did knit this in Aran weight. It calls for a worsted weight. I think I knitted on size 7 and 9 needles. You'll have to look at my notes in my Ravelry page. It's Sins and Needles 89, which, oh my gosh, I'm so scatterbrained. A lot has been going on lately, so sorry for I didn't give you information. Okay, so I have a Ravelry group. It's Primrose Yarn Company, and my Ravelry page itself is Sins and Needles 89, and you can find me on Instagram as Primrose Yarn Company, CO, not company spelled out. And Tumblr and Twitter are both Sins and Needles 8 and Sins and Needles 89. So, yeah, it's just been a whirlwind of stuff going on. So I'm just like very scatterbrained, and I did this on a whim. So, again, like I said, bear with me. A lot has happened in the knitting world. A lot has happened on my end. So, but yes, we are still doing a knit along. If you guys can super fast, you can still join and be there's possible prizes thrown up that you guys could win. But yeah, I am so excited about this pattern, you guys. It's beautiful. I did kind of tweak the sleeves a little bit, which I wish I would have decreased a little bit more, because they're kind of like bulky, like they're a lot more open than I thought they would be when I did the ribbing. But it's like for heavy winter weather or really cold fall days, and so I'm not really upset about it, actually, to be 100% honest. I only did 2 decreases from the cast on both of the sleeves, And it came out absolutely beautiful, and I'm really, really happy with this. This is in my Glow colorway, which also will be available. I like to knit up patterns and like samples before I actually send out my yarn to see how it's going to dye up and how it interacts with patterns that I try. And this is a perfect trial run for this colorway because there are cables, and you know, obviously, as you guys know, cables can kind of skew the way colorways look. So that is what this is, and I'm really happy with it, and I love her patterns. I can't say enough about Joji. She's done fantastic work. So please, if you're not familiar with her patterns or you don't know her, she's Joji, I think Locatell on Instagram. Joji Knits is her hashtag, and she's on as Joji Locatelli on Ravelry. So please look her up. She's a fantastic designer. Next thing I want to talk about is Stitches South. Unfortunately, as a lot of you may have found out, this was the last year for Stitches South. I talked to the director, and she said this specific show wasn't doing super well. A lot of the vendors next to me, and you know, who had been doing it for a lot of years, also said the same thing. They weren't really happy with the outcome of the people. They weren't really happy with, you know, what they made when they went home at the end of the day. So I think Knitters Magazine made a joint decision to cancel Stitches South. There's a rumor going around that it'll move to Connecticut and it'll become Stitches Plus, which means that it will become knitting, spinning, needle arts, and a lot of quilting and stuff like that. Don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure, but that is the ongoing rumor amongst us indie dyers. So I had a fantastic time. I can't speak enough about that event. The Gaylord Convention Center was beautiful. I've never seen a convention center / hotel that big. It was massive. There was a lot going on when I was there, and the event, our Stitches event itself, was awesome. I had gotten so much positive feedback from everybody who stopped in my booth and said hello and bought some yarn from me. I picked up 2 new wholesale accounts, which was great. So right now you can find me at Hooked in New Jersey. They'll be getting a shipment in soon of my yarn. And you can also find me at Yarn Culture, which is in Brooklyn, New York. They'll also be carrying me soon. So I'm super excited. I got to vend with Yarn Culture, and they are such great people. You should definitely check them out if you're in the New York area. They have a beautiful shop. They carry awesome stuff like Hedgehog Fibers, Madeline Tosh, all the big names, and then a bunch of indie dyers as well, and including myself. So I'm really happy to be part of their indie dyer family that they're going to be carrying in their shop. But there was a lot that happened. I mean, like, it was an overwhelming experience because as an indie dyer, you know, you sign up for these shows, it's your first show, and you're like, what do you expect? You go, you set up. But I met a whole bunch of great people. I don't think I would have gone if it weren't for the people that I knew I was going to run into, like Daniela Richardson and Allie and all the people that they brought with them. And, you know, it just made the whole experience a lot better because for that specific show, it took me a week away from my family. And that's a long time for my husband to take care of our daughter. And it's just a long time away from family. So I'm sure that you guys have seen my posts on Instagram, and it made me a little homesick, but the people there who were very warming and very welcoming made it so much better. So I'm really glad I did Stitches. I'm so happy I got in last year that they were doing this, and we will be at Stitches West in California this year, so in 2017, so we will be looking forward to seeing everybody at Stitches West, and I hope to sign up for Stitches Midwest in Chicago, or well, outside of Chicago, but in Illinois in August. But that being said, I'm going to move on to a couple questions that I have. This is going to probably be a shorter podcast, you guys. And like I said, I have no show notes. I'm trying to do this super quickly because my life is so crazy, which I will explain in a couple minutes why. But I did get a question on Instagram, and Excuse me while I'm looking down. I'm trying to look at the question. Yes, and this is from Loves to Knit on Instagram, LVS the number 2 and knit NK or KNIT. Sorry. She said, I think in episode 2 you were going to do some type of journaling. I was thinking of the same, and I wanted to see how yours was coming along, keeping track of knitting life. Okay, so unfortunately, I don't get to sit and knit all day long. I have to dye yarn, and I have to take care of my daughter and now a new puppy. My knitting journal is really lagging. I will say this though, I do keep notes, especially for like cardigans and stuff in case I want to knit again, especially like the Gramps cardigan by Tin Can Knits. I kept pretty detailed notes on a separate notepad. So those can eventually be transferred into my knitting journal. But to speak of my knitting journal and where it is, yeah, when I first got it, I sat down and I actually worked on it, but I haven't worked on it in a couple months. So I guess it's really how much time you want to dedicate into your knitting journal. Mine, I really have nothing to show you guys. I really don't. The only thing I put in is actually the yarn I used, the pattern I used, the needle sizes I used, and the labels. Sometimes I keep the labels of the yarn and I washi tape them into my knitting journal. I would like to say that I'm really good at keeping a record of what I knit and how I knit it and everything like that, but I'm not. I'm terrible. I sign up myself up for stuff like this, and I think I have the time to do it, and I'm just adding another load of things to do on top of another, like a mass amount of stuff that I have to do. Unfortunately, I can't say that I'm super great at keeping a record of that kind of stuff. So if you are keeping a knitting journal, that's fantastic. I would love to hear about it. I'd love to hear what you guys do. Like I said, you can put that on the Primrose Yarn Company page. I'll open up a thread tonight about knitting journals and how you keep your records of your knitting journals. So if anyone wants to share what they're doing in theirs, if they keep one, you know, what you keep track of, anything like that, feel free to respond on that thread. The same person actually asked to see the puppy that we got. I would love to show you the puppy, and I promised the puppy on Instagram, but the puppy, she has a hot spot right now, and she has a full-on cone collar around her neck. She's not feeling super great tonight, so she's down in her crate getting better. If you're not familiar with what a hot spot is, it's normally a wound that they get from rubbing up against someone, cutting, like getting a, like, it's kind of like a paper cut that turns into a massive infection. And over the past 2 days, she developed an infection, and last night I took her into the vet, and they called it a hot spot. And so basically, she's on steroid antibiotics by oral and spray. She has a licking wound because she's trying to, I guess, it's just her nature to want to lick and resolve the wound herself. She's having a lot of trouble doing so because the bacteria that's in a dog's mouth is worse than the actual bacteria that the wound has, so it's just making that more infected. And so she had to get a cone. Unfortunately, she's only like 12 weeks old, and she had to get a cone around her neck, and so she's walking around running into things. And I'm filming up on the 3rd floor of our house in my bedroom, and she's all the way down in the kitchen on the 1st floor, so I wasn't going to bring her up here to show her. I'm so sorry, you guys, but I will share a couple photos on Instagram if you guys really want to see her. We got a puppy. I know this is going to cause some kind of issue, maybe cause some kind of issue. I don't want to guarantee it, but we didn't rescue. We bought a puppy. And here's my reasons for doing this. And this is totally a side note for knitting. If you're not interested, hopefully I can give you a time to fast forward to, but so I know that a lot of people out there are huge adoption advocates, and I totally understand that. But, and my family has, since I was growing up, has always adopted dogs. I respect and totally understand your need to adopt and give a home and a good environment for an abused or, you know, abandoned animal. my problem is I have a 3-year-old daughter, and my concerns in lie that I don't know the history of a full-grown animal, and my husband and I have no interest in getting a small dog. We wanted a big dog. It's just our personal preference. We've always grown up with bigger dogs. He actually hasn't ever grown up with a dog. I have, and I've grown up with medium to larger sized dogs. I don't like the disposition of smaller dogs. That's not to say that you can't mold that dog to be a good, respectable family dog, but I haven't ever had good experience with a small dog. I think that they're very yippy and protective, and that's just my personal opinion. That doesn't make it right. So before everybody jumps on me. So we decided we were going to get a puppy, and I found a puppy. We wanted a German Shepherd. They're really good family dogs. They're really good, loyal dogs. And so we bought a puppy, and she's been a handful, you know? Puppies are a good thing. They're great, because the way I look at it as, that dog needed a home. The dog was born. The dog needed a home just like every other dog. The guarantee that I have is that she was integrated into our pack, as you would call it, at an early age. So she established behaviors that are friendly to us as her owners and caregivers, especially to my daughter, which was my main concern. Because if we're getting a bigger dog, that dog can easily overpower my daughter and could eventually, potentially kill or harm her if the dog got angry enough. Knowing that my daughter is higher up in the pack than the dog itself will give my daughter a benefit, as opposed to getting a dog that I know nothing about. I don't know their background. You can only have so much at a shelter. They only give you so much information. So that's where my strong suit lies. I've always adopted, growing up with my parents and stuff like that, we've always adopted from the SPCA. We've always got really fantastic animals. But I just wanted to throw it out there that, like, I'm not one of those people who are absolute, you have to adopt to be considered a respectable pet owner. Every animal born needs a home. And in our circumstance alone, I do feel strongly that we did what was right for our family and what we felt was right. And I'm actually kind of being positively reinforced by her behavior and how she respects my daughter. And I just don't know if I would be willing to take that risk with a full-grown German Shepherd when my daughter's 3 years old. They're very protective animals. But we want the dog to be protective for the right reasons and to the right people. So that's just where we personally stand as a family, and I'm sure that everybody has their own opinions, and everybody's entitled to theirs, but that's ours, and that's just where we're at right now with our dog. And so we're really happy with her, and we can't be more happy. And I will try to post more photos of the puppy. She's actually, I had her weighed yesterday at the vet, and she's 32.6 pounds. That was 4 weeks after we got her. She went from being 18.6 all the way up to 32. So she's gained a lot of weight in 4 weeks. So, but we're really happy with her, and she's a beautiful dog, and she's wonderful, and she's very friendly and lovable, and she's challenging in some points, but all puppies are, so we're learning just as much as she is, and really happy with her. So her name is Faith, by the way, and she's going to be an AKC certified German Shepherd, so we're really happy. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about, and this kind of, I kind of want to be careful what I say, because like I said, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, and I'm not trying to not correctly represent the business dealings that I have with this company. I've had a really difficult time with my yarn supplier, and it's kind of hit a legal point to the fact that I have not gotten or received the yarn that I paid for, and they're claiming that they shipped the yarn, and the fact is they didn't insure the product, they didn't require a signature upon delivery, and the fact that I didn't get the product, they put up a very big fight with me. They have delivered it, but they're going through they're jumping through hoops to reclaim their money because they didn't take precautionary steps to make sure that they had themselves covered, and they're putting the blame on me. So for that reason, I've been extremely stressed out the past 2 weeks, dealing with the yarn supplier that I have and trying to get them to fill my order, basically, is what's been going on. And I have legal counsel that's been advising me in the matter, and yeah. So it's just, it seems like this podcast is nothing but confrontational or like, issues, but it's the risk you run when you run a business. I mean, this is real world business issues that I don't think that a lot of people feel comfortable addressing. Keeping the name or the location of the company, I think I'm safe out of the whole issue, as my legal advice has told me. But I do want to let people know that this is a viable problem that's out there, that people will suck you dry because they think that just because they didn't insure, or they didn't, and which is on them. I mean, UPS found them liable for the loss of the inventory that they're claiming was theirs to be delivered. That never happened. It's really stressful. I don't know what else to say. And this woman that I'm dealing with at this company really doesn't seem to understand politics of doing business, and also where she's held accountable for shipping. And it's unfortunate because it's costing me time and energy where I could be dyeing yarn and getting it out to. Actually, I mean, I could be filling orders right now, but for the past 2 weeks, I've been sitting on orders that have been prepaid for, and I feel really bad, which I've reached out to these businesses and I've said, please be patient while I deal with this issue, because unfortunately and stupidly, they are the only supplier I deal with right now. I'm looking to pick up another supplier that has been absolutely fantastic in responding to my emails, answering all my questions, to my satisfaction, and honest and open with me. They sent me samples on, absolutely no questions asked samples. They sent me a wholesale order, because if you're not familiar with this, a lot of indie dyers actually have to present a wholesale supplier with a tax ID license, so that they know that they're not just trying to get a discount yarn. But this company has been more than willing to work with me, understanding the issue that I'm running into right now, and willing to back me 110%. And I couldn't ask for that more. But this other company that I've done business with, that's my sole source of wholesale right now for, my inventory, basically, I've dumped about $26,000 into their business in the past year alone, from April to April. And I told them that, I really was upset at how they were treating me as a loyal customer who only deals with them, which later I think they took advantage of, thinking that threatening me and stuff like that was going to, make me quiver. But based on legal advice and UPS findings and, talking to the police and stuff like that, I had nothing to do with this. So, but after having dumped $26,000 and blatantly being told that if you feel like you have to go find another supplier, that we completely understand, it just kind of took me aback a little bit. And I was just kind of like, wow, they really don't know how to do business, and they're really not a reputable business. And I know a lot of indie dyers, and I will not name anybody, because the worst thing that you can do as an indie dyer, knowing people who source the same supplier that you do, is throw out their resource, because that's just kind of like a kept secret between all indie dyers, is like, we know who each other uses, but you might not, and it's just kind of professional courtesy. But I know a lot of indie dyers that have also told me that they use this company, and I really hope that they don't get bit like this, because it's a bad instance for us to find ourselves in, where a company is okay to let you go after dumping, $27,000 into their company over the course of a year. It's just sad. It's sad that people do business like that, and it kind of hurts a little bit to not be felt as a loyal customer, that you are being treated fairly. So, sorry to vent. Sorry I went off on a tangent. It's just been a really stressful 2 weeks for me after I returned and trying to fill orders for everybody. I do plan to do a shop update tomorrow. I can't quote on everything that I'm going to have, but some people did ask that I bring back Pearl, which is my 600 yard 80%, 20% superwash merino and silk base, which I will have a couple skeins up. I probably will have some worsted, and I probably will have some sock and some helix, which are both fingering weights. One has 75-25% nylon, the other is 100% superwash. I will have those in the shop. Tomorrow my update will be 7 p.m. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to talk to you guys about. I am so sorry that this is so short and not knitting related. I really just wanted to brief you guys on where I stood as a business more than knitting so much. I'm hoping you guys understand. And next podcast I will try to do shortly after. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to mention. I do have a trunk show at the Wool Workshop with Skin Cocaine and Katie Long, who are both owners and managers of the Wool Workshop in Roanoke, Virginia. That will be on April 30th and May 1st, and I will be there all weekend. I know that also overlaps with Powhatan, so you can do Powhatan on Saturday and come see me on Sunday if you're in the area. I think they're relatively close enough. I mean, I know Virginia is a massive state, but they're relatively close enough that if you don't mind like a 2-hour drive, you could probably make it. Yeah, we'll be there. It'll be a massive trunk show. Massive. Like, bigger than the screen can hold. But we'll be there, and we'll be talking. Maybe, I know I said this in Tennessee, but I didn't have any time. Maybe I can get them to podcast with me a little bit and do an intro, kind of in the middle of my podcast, just do a you know, talk with Katie and with Gina. It would be great. But yes, I do have a trunk show coming up. And then I will be attending Maryland Sheep and Wool the following weekend. Unfortunately, I won't be there Saturday. My awesome sister graduates from Bloomsburg University with honors. She's graduating magna cum laude in education. So there's no way I'm going to see my sister's graduation on that Saturday. But I will be at the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival Mother's Day, Sunday, all day. And that's going to be my Mother's Day this year, thank God. But yes, I am super excited to be there, and if you guys are going to be there, let me know. We can meet up, we can talk, we can, I mean, I like I say every podcast, if you know I'm going to be somewhere, come up to me, say hey, talk to me about knitting, talk to me about spinning, talk to me about whatever you want. You can probably easily find me at the Loop booth. I've informed Steph Gorin that I'm going to be at her booth pretty much the entire event, because I love Loop. I do have acquisitions, but I forgot to bring them up and show you guys, but you can look on my Ravelry page and you can see those. I'm super excited though for Maryland Sheep and Wool. It's literally in my backyard. It's 45 minutes away from me. So I will be there all day Sunday. Contact me on Ravelry, Instagram, anywhere you can, and let me know if you're going to be there and if you want to meet up. Love to meet you guys. I love meeting people that watch the podcast and just generally follow me. Out in public, out and about, in the real world. It's awesome. But again, I greatly appreciate your tolerance for this episode. I know it's not so knitting oriented. I know it's just kind of like a catch up episode. So hopefully I can do one. I'll try to do one from Roanoke, Virginia when I go down to my trunk show at the Wool Workshop. If I can't, I will do one shortly after during that week and get you guys caught up to speed. I will actually have physical stuff to show you, like for updates and my finished garments and everything like that. So I'm sorry guys. I apologize. I can't stop apologizing. What's wrong with me? But I love you guys, and thank you again. If you have any questions that I didn't answer, feel free to comment below or to hit me up on Instagram. Honestly, Instagram is the best way to get a hold of me. Again, that's Primrose Yarn Company, CO, not spelled out. And, yeah. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention. Please watch. Please, please, please. Because she's a sweetheart. So, Mina Phillip and I from the Knitting Expat podcast have been exchanging some conversation on Instagram. And I offered her a coupon code for my Etsy shop. So if you don't watch the Knitting Expat, please do. I love her podcast. She's so British and it's awesome. I love her, and I love everything that she talks about on her podcast. I think I like it because she finishes projects so fast. I've never seen someone knit so much. But she always has something new and vibrant to talk about, and it's amazing, and I love it. So please do watch the Knitting Expat podcast with Mina Phillip, 2Ps on Phillip. She's just great. She's awesome. Like, there's a lot of politics behind her knitting that I really find interesting, and she and I have talked about that, and I think that being really interested in some of the politics she experiences because she lives in Bahrain, and she was just talking about how she's having difficulty finding a travel visa or getting one. I just find that really interesting. Something that as a United States citizen I don't really worry about. I don't go out of the state. I've never gone out of the country, but I don't really go out of my state that much. But I've never gone out of the country. And as a person who travels as much as she does, and for her business and stuff like that, and to have travel restrictions the way she does, I find that fascinating because I don't personally experience it. So living vicariously through her, or not vicariously, that's kind of the wrong terminology, but living through her and her podcast and experiencing, walking through what she experiences on a daily basis, I find extremely interesting. So check her out. She knits super fast. Awesome podcast. Fantastic host. Great things to talk about. So please do visit her podcast. Also, Sticks Plus Twine is another one that I've been following, Eric, and he's awesome. I do love him, and he's so cool because he likes Star Wars, and that's so nerdy and awesome. But I know it's so stupid to say, but I like people who are open with their nerdiness, and he got a Darth Vader Easter Bunny chocolate. It was awesome. Like, I saw that post and it just made my day. So, on Instagram. But he also I think he either is wrapping up or getting ready to wrap up a knit along with the Exploration Station from Stephen West. He's a great one to follow. He is in Canada. It's been a long week, guys. Okay, just bear with me. He's located in Canada, and it's another great podcast that I watch. So throwing those two out there before I sign off with you guys. But as always, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for tolerating just my general, this is what's going on in my life kind of a podcast. Sorry, it wasn't more knitting related. I'm going to have a knitting related one, the next one. So thank you again for joining me, and I see you guys soon.